What's up, guys? Welcome to the must-have wheels garage. This is the actual garage, not my usual workspace for the RC cars. I just wanted to go over my Pro Mod build. It's going to be a no prep drag car based off of the LCG / two-wheel drive platform. I know this has been taken up by multiple people, but I just want to show you guys the progress of my build so far, and what I have left, what I've done so far, and yeah, we'll dive right in it. So the body is the J Concepts Chevelle, obviously unpainted so far. It's trimmed. I got the body holes drilled out. I have the paint scheme in mind already. I have the paint. I have vinyl here that I'm going to be doing the roof with. I'm going to keep it simple, keep it classic. I left all this slack here because I don't want to trim right up to the bumper line. I want to leave as much of it as possible. I drew it a line where I think I'm going to have to trim it. I don't know if you guys can catch that on the camera or not, but I don't want all that extra space so air gets into the body and gets trapped. So we'll get to the body afterwards. I'm gonna get that painted hopefully in the next couple of days. So this is the car here. So we'll start off with the basics. I got the Proline body mounts with the screw-on tabs for the top. It's a lot cleaner. It's a lot easier to take on and off rather than the body clips, in my opinion. STRC front and rear shock towers. I got the Integy front bulkhead. This is just some Chinese eBay. It was an anodized red brace for the control arms. I stripped the anodized coating off and polished it just to keep the look going with the polished aluminum. These are also eBay. What do they call those? Caster blocks. You know what? I was hesitant with them. I wasn't sure how the build quality was going to be, how much play I was going to have, but I'm sure you can see that there's not much play at all. It's pretty good, so I'm happy with those. I got RPM front arms, just basic slash arms. I did not have to go with the bandit arms in the front. These tires, because of the size of them, they're so small that they allow for a lot more clearance. So I was able to just give the front end a little bit of camber, and I didn't have to go with the bandit fronts, which I was happy with because I already had the regular slash links. I got RPM bearing carriers in there. Guys, if you're building something like this and alignment is precise, I recommend going RPM rather than aluminum. They do take up a lot of the slack where the stock ones would leave it. So like these control arms have zero movement front and back. Same thing with the rears. We'll get to the rears in a minute. The front bumper, I've been doing this with pretty much all my on-road builds. I even use this bumper on one of my 4x4 off-road slashes just to give it a cleaner look. This is RPM bumper for the Rustler, the wide front bumper. What I did was I flipped it upside down, and it only takes 2 bolts to bolt it in. The bulkhead has 4 for the basic slash one. You got the 2 up here, 2 down there. So I moved the bolts down to the second row, so it sucked it down more. You have a lot of slack hanging under here. I may have to trim some of that off, but the reason why I did that is it allowed me to push the bumper back far enough to clear the body. I actually like having this extra little bit of plastic sticking out from the bottom because it'll save the chassis from a lot of the scraping. It's going to bottom out on there before it hits anything else underneath the chassis. So I'm going to try to keep as much of it as I can. I might have to trim it. We'll see. The reason why I'm using this bumper and the reason why I flipped it upside down is so you have a flat surface to work with. I'm going to have to put some weight in the front to keep the front end down. So this will allow me to do that and still have it look clean. You see you have these two dimples here. I'm going to end up drilling those and put the tapered screws through the bottom going up. And I'll probably end up putting a plate across here where I can start stacking my wheel weights as I need them when I'm doing the tuning. Last thing in the front end is the shocks. These are Summit shocks, believe it or not. I bought them from Jenny's RC on eBay. Solid seller, prices are good. All the stuff is brand new, takeoff. So these are stock Summit shocks. They're the same front and back for the Summits. These are Traxxas GTR springs, the double blues. They're pretty soft, so they work nice. I did have to drill out the piston in these shocks. So if you guys are planning on using these shocks, even if you put 10 weight in them, they're still ridiculously stiff because the piston holes are like so small. So I did drill them out. You can always buy regular GTR pistons, or if you buy the rebuild kit, it comes with a bunch of different sizes that you guys can mess around with. I just drilled them. I didn't have any on hand, and it's actually looks like it's going to work perfectly. So that's it for the front. We'll get to the wheels and tires after. The servo, I just used a Amazon servo. It's full metal gear. I've been using these in a lot of my builds. They've been lasting me forever. You'll never have to go through a servo in one of these cars because realistically you're not taking it off-roading and bashing it to the point where you're stripping gears. So this will last forever in there. For the steering bell crank, I just went with an aluminum one. This is also an eBay Chinese one. You know what? I'm happy with it. There's not much play in it. It looks good, and it's definitely going to hold up better than the plastic one. Back end, I did have to go bandit. I had the stock / two-wheel drive arms back there. When I went to go mount the wheels up, they were sticking too far out. They were just barely scraping the body. So I said, you know what? I don't want to mess around with that. I don't want to rub the paint off the side of the body once it's done. So I did put the bandit rears. These links, they are two-wheel drive links. I just put shorter end links on them. So I was able to still utilize the threaded rod. As you can see, I got the linkage transmission, all aluminum. I did the slipper shaft pin mod. So if you guys are into this, bashing these cars and drag racing these cars, the biggest weak point of the transmissions are that pin that holds the drive gear inside the transmission, which is directly attached to the shaft. I've snapped so many of those pins and they cost you the tranny because it gets munched up in the gears and it takes out all the gears. So I drilled that. I took the old factory pin out, drilled it a little bit bigger, and I snapped the drill bit off in there, made sure it was nice and tight. There's lots of threads online on how to do that, what drill bit size to use. I'm not going to get into that. So you guys, if you want to look that up, by all means. I'm hoping that it's going to hold up better than that factory pin. So for the rear also, I ended up with RPM bearing carriers for the same reason. No slop. So the control arms have no play at all. Super tight. Same thing with the bearing carriers. They're so good, man. Compared to aluminum, even Traxxas aluminum or linkage or STRC, you'll always have less play with RPM, I find. The shafts, I did have to modify. You can buy bandit shafts. I use slash. and I shortened them. So I literally just took them apart and I cut about a 1/2 inch off of both ends of the shaft on the inside. The reason why I did this instead of buying bandit shafts is because the U-joints here, the pins are a lot bigger. So they're going to be stronger than the bandit ones for sure. I ended up going with 32 pitch gearing just to strengthen it up a bit. I'll share my gearing with you guys. I'm not one of those guys whose everything is a secret. I got to keep this covered. I'm not worried about that. I'm starting off, I haven't ran the car yet. As you can see, it's still brand new. I'm starting off with a 50 tooth spur and a 17 tooth pinion. That's mod 0.8 or 32 pitch, however you want to call it. So this will add strength over the factory 48 pitch, I think it is. So that's it for that. So I ended up putting the Summit shocks in the back as well. It worked out fine. If you're building a off-road truck, you're going to need the longer shocks in the rear, but it's sitting pretty level right now. And I like the angle of the shock as well. I think it's going to work nice. For the rear spring, I use just a stock GTR rear, the double black stripe. Now for the tires and wheels. I went with the J Concepts originally, wheels front and back. I got the front tires, I still got to glue them on. I ordered the belted smoothies so that I can have the matching set of wheels front and back. At the same time, I ordered these Proline Reaction HPs, which are also belted. These came in first. The J Concepts are back ordered. I'm not sure when they're going to come in. I am going to be testing a bunch of different tires. Once they come in, I'll probably end up testing foams as well. I usually run Jaycos, but we're going to try to stick with no prep this year and see how that goes. So the rear, I have the Reaction HPs on some beadlocks. I was able to fit two-wheel drive fronts, which have more of an offset, so they're going to stick out further. So with the bandit arms and the two-wheel drive fronts, that's the best stance that I found with the body that I'm using. Might not apply to the Fox body or the Nova, but for this particular build, this is the best track width for me. Electronics. So I've been recently converting a lot of my cars over to the FlySky system. So FlySky, honestly, man, for the money, the range is wicked. I've had some serious range over the when compared to the Traxxas remotes. I have one in my Limitless, and I've been doing speed runs with it, and I have no problems with reception. Whereas the Traxxas one, it's a little sketchy in the further distances. So I'm going to stick with this. This has ABS capabilities, stability control capabilities. They're so tunable. Everything is done through the remote. There's no need to pull your phone out and hook up to the app and Bluetooth and blah, blah, blah. Everything's on the remote. So far I have it on probably like 6 cars, maybe more, and it's been working fantastic. Even the TSM or the stability management system, whatever you want to call it, TSM on this thing works great. Power plant, the heart and soul of the build. So naturally, people gravitate towards Castle. So do I. I'm not biased, but for tunability and for data logging, my go-to is Castle. Bashers, I do like Hobbywing. I run a lot of Hobbywing stuff. You can get a lot of the older Hobbywing stuff for reasonably cheap, and I do run that a lot in my bashing setups. But for this, I did want a censored setup, and I did want the tunability that this offers. Speed controller wise, this is a Mamba X. It's 2 to 6S capable. solid ESC. I have this in a bunch of cars, a couple of crawlers as well. It is waterproof. This setup is never going to get wet regardless, but data logging is key for me. I'm going to be experimenting with cat packs and stuff like that. So this is, I love the techie stuff when it comes to this. So this for me is a cream of the crop. For the motor, we got also a Castle censored 5700 kV brushless 4-pole motor. This is going to be a 2-cell car. So this is plenty motor for 2-cell. I'm probably going to have to worry about temperatures, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Batteries, I've stumbled on these DXFs. I found them on Amazon. I bought a few of them, and honestly, man, I absolutely love them. The C rating is ridiculous, man. This 100C, 6500 milliamp. Honestly, I think it was like $35 or $40 Canadian. I have a Gens Ace, I have HRBs, I have Venoms, and the C rating, okay, as the C rating is not as high as this, but I don't even know what's available. And when you compare pricing, if you want this performance out of a battery in a Venom, for example, you're paying double, if not more. Super cheap. I've been running them for about 6 to 8 months now. They've been reliable. And when you put these batteries in, when compared to other brands, so far, you notice a massive difference in punch. So I'm going to continue using these for the time being. I like them. So I will be experimenting, like I said, with different tires. I'm going to get the matching rears to the fronts on once they come in, and I will set up the drag tree, and we'll do a bunch of passes on these, a bunch of passes on the J Concept Smoothies, and we'll compare. We'll see what hooks up better. We'll see what works. Now, a lot of people don't like these transmission cases for the reason that you can't bolt a factory wheelie bar or anything that's made to bolt to a factory rear end like this. It does not bolt up to this transmission. You can get the flat metal plate or carbon fiber plate with the one wheel, and you got the tie bar coming down. I don't like the way they look. I want to try to stick with the scale look, so I have an idea how to get this stock bumper to fit on here. It should work. I'm going to be mucking with that today, and we'll see if we can get that done. I'm still waiting on a bunch of parts from STRC, one thing being the wheelie bar to complete the car. So once that wheelie bar comes in, I should have the body painted by that time. And as long as the weather cooperates with us, we'll be doing some test hits. So stay tuned. I'll post some more videos as stuff decides it wants to come in. I know this COVID is slowing down shipping like crazy right now, so just have to be patient and wait it out. So that's it for now, guys. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned. Like, subscribe, and share, please, if you don't mind, and we'll get some more good content out there for you guys.